betrayed by a friend for 30 pieces of silver. Imagine sitting at a dinner table where every face is familiar, every voice is trusted, every story shared. You know the warmth of the room, the rhythm of the meal, the comfort of people who have walked with you for years. Now imagine knowing that someone at that same table, someone who dipped his hand into the same bowl, has already chosen to hand your life over for the price of a slave. That's where the final 24 hours of Jesus' life begin, not with soldiers, not with a crowd, but with a friend. Long before this night, Scripture had already traced the outline of this pain. In Psalm 41:9, David writes, "Even my close friend in whom I trusted, who ate my bread, has lifted his heel against me." Those aren't distant words. They come from a man who knew the sting of betrayal from someone he loved. And somehow, that ancient wound prepares us for the moment Jesus looks across the table at Judas. Then there's Zechariah 11:12-13, a prophecy so specific it almost reads like a riddle. 30 pieces of silver thrown into the house of the Lord, used for the potter. Generations must have wondered what on earth that meant. And then Matthew tells us. Matthew 26:14-16 shows Judas quietly approaching the chief priests. "What will you give me?" They weigh out 30 pieces of silver, the exact price listed in Exodus 21:32 for a slave. Think about that. The one who healed the sick and raised the dead is valued at the lowest number the law allows. But Judas doesn't just take the money and disappear. He sits back down at the same table with Jesus. John 13:18-27 describes the moment Jesus hands him a piece of bread, a direct echo of Psalm 41. The prophecy about the friend who shares his bread is unfolding in the middle of an ordinary meal. After Jesus is condemned, Judas breaks under the weight of what he's done. Matthew 27:3-7 says he returns to the temple, throws the silver onto the floor, and the priests, unable to place blood money in the treasury, use it to buy the potter's field. Suddenly, Zechariah's strange, almost cryptic prophecy becomes a precise description of what actually happens. And through all of this, one thing becomes clear. Before the cross ever pierced his hands, betrayal pierced his heart. Jesus knew exactly what Psalm 41 and Zechariah 11 had foretold. Yet, he still chose the table. He still offered the bread. He still loved the one who was already halfway out the door. If you've ever walked through a betrayal you didn't deserve, or one you saw coming but couldn't stop, this is where Jesus meets you. Before he carried the weight of the world, he carried the wound of a friend's rejection. And Scripture shows us he was not caught off guard. Not then, not now, not in the moments that have wounded you either. Once the betrayal is complete, the noise stops, and something far more unsettling begins. Silent before his accusers. There's a kind of silence that feels heavy, not because nothing is happening, but because something intentional is unfolding beneath the surface. And when you watch Jesus in these final hours, that's exactly the kind of silence you see. A silence that doesn't shrink back, but steps forward into what Scripture already declared.